Hey there, welcome back. Open Pagan Church. Here we are. What are we? Yeah, second week. Second week into the new year. And I wanted to go over some of our most popular topics of last year to see if there's anything anyone particularly wanted to cover. Hmm, imagine that. Revisit some of our older topics. So, what I'm going to do, and looks like we've got some that haven't shown up yet, and that's fine. I'm going to pull up on my other screen the events of last year. There we go. Flip over there. And get this up here so you guys can see it. There we go. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. That changed them both, didn't it? Okay. All right. Open Pagan Church, Sundays here, 9:30 a.m. Central. And of course, our videos are uploaded to YouTube, Pinterest, and Tumblr. And of course, as always, we look forward to opinions, thoughts, comments, especially ideas for other topics because, well, quite frankly, I can't come up with everything all of the time. So, what we're going to do is kind of revisit some of our topics from last year. In January of last year, in December and January of last year, we took we took some considerable time off so that we could make a move from where we were to where we are. And I'm not going to go into all of that. But one of the things that, we covered in the first week of last year was welcome to new beginnings. And welcome to new beginnings kind of talked about things that happen throughout the year. Welcome to new beginnings talked about things that come up on us when we're not ready, changes that may happen that you have to leave the old behind and step into the new. And that typically, well, it's kind of day to day, isn't it? When we get used to a grind and we get used to kind of moving along where we are with what's going on, and then all of a sudden, things change. And we have to be ready for them. And that doesn't make any difference, folks, what religion you are, what faith you follow. As pagans, we tend to have a little bit different mindset for the most part. Now, there are those that have come over to the pagan philosophy that have brought their other religious moralisms with them, that have brought their other philosophies with them. But if you think about paganism overall, and we try to hold near and dear to the ancient philosophies of paganism, it is not your typical society moral norm. So we mostly don't let things bother us that bother most of society. So in Welcome to New Beginnings, we talked about things that change, things we have no control of, right? Some of our other topics that I talked about last year that were kind of important is why people come to then leave paganism. Why do people come to and then leave paganism? Well, we talked about the people that come in that think or that are thinking paganism is simply only sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We talked about people that came over to paganism because they wanted power. So they thought. They thought that all pagans were witches and all pagans are Wicca, and that what they wanted was they wanted that magical power so they could put a spell on people. And they soon found out that's not what paganism is about at all. They were extremely disillusioned when they found out that we are, oh my, regular folk with regular families doing regular things on a day to day basis, giving thanks to the gods and goddesses, whichever thousands of the ones that one of us may follow. Yeah, we may have a little bit different philosophy of society, and we have some different moralisms within society, but we're just regular folk. And those who were just trying to piss off the the establishment, if you will, soon found that paganism isn't all that much different than other regular folk trying to make a living, build a family, and do for themselves. Yes, we're perfectly happy dancing in the woods naked, call skyclad. We're perfectly happy, depending on the path you're in, doing vision quest with peyote or certain types of hallucinogens. Um, I'm not, just because that's my path. But um, we're perfectly fine with all of the alternative sexualities that are out there, and we're perfectly fine with people doing what they need to do as long as it doesn't hurt others. And therein saying, um, "Do as you will, harm none," is a misnomer because you just can't live and not accidentally hurt someone else. Oh, that's a shaman philosophy, isn't it? Oops, sorry. Onward and upward. Other topics: self validation, teaching our children, finding ourselves. Um, the church in Scotland, I did. That one was a lot of fun. I was actually in Scotland at the time I did that one. So it was just kind of a hello. Um, it was just kind of a hello from Scotland. This was the week I got back, so there was a lot going on. Stress. Stress was a good one. May 13th last year, I wanted to do a video or a broadcast on stress. Stress is something that each and every one of us have to live with on a daily basis. It it just is what it is. And I don't know of anybody anywhere that lives in any kind of society that doesn't have to deal with stress. And even if you talk to people that live off the grid, even if you talk to people that um, don't live within a particular society, they live way off the grid, they live in the woods or they live in the mountains, they still have to deal with stress. They have to deal with stress of maintaining the garden, making sure that they can hunt for their meat. Human beings have to have meat. Even vegetarians have to have a meat substitute. And sorry, that's a scientific fact that you have to have some form of meat protein. Otherwise, your muscles and your body and your brain will turn to mush. But anyway, stress. Stress was a good one. I really enjoyed doing that one. Then there was living in the past. Um, May 27th, I was offline for whatever reason. Individuality in paganism was done June 10th. I quite enjoyed that one. Paganism and individuality, the reason I really quite enjoyed that one is the cool thing is about paganism is we don't worry about people following a mold. We don't worry about people being like everyone else. The purpose for Open Pagan Church is so that everyone can feel at home. You don't have to be pagan. You don't have to be of a particular path in paganism. You don't even have to be spiritual. You just have to be respectful, ask respectful questions, of course. But individuality in paganism is embraced. It really is. Um, we embrace people's individualism in paganism. We want people to be different. We don't want people to be cookie cutter, mold like everyone else. We're not all the same, and we like that. I like that because, my God, we see it all day, every day. Well, they're not like everybody else, so we can't like them. Um, no. And I forgot to move my camera back. Hang on. Here we go. Here we go. Ah, now, a little more centered. I was off to the right a bit. Couldn't figure out what the hell I was doing, stuck off to the right anyway. Yeah, so individuality and paganism was a real good broadcast. It was. It was interesting to do, it was fun to do. And then, probably my most favorite one, right here. Here you go. Done on June 17th, was Pagans and Sin. Pagans and Sin. I had a ball doing that one. It's a lot of fun. Pagans and Sin, we talked about the title. Pagans. We don't sin. How can pagans not sin? Pagans aren't Christian, contrary to some people's popular belief. Pagans are not Christian. Christianity, sin is a Christian thing. Sin is a Christian thing. It's not a pagan thing. Pagans follow karma. We try to follow the karmic rule, if you will. We believe what goes around comes around. We believe in cause and effect. We believe in karma. Yeah, okay, we're going to be judged by our spirit guides, by our council, by our gods and goddesses, whatever you call them. But we're not necessarily trying to get into the pearly gates of heaven. Me, I kind of hope I get to come back with my memories that I have now. Of course, that'll never happen. But pagans and sin, pagans don't have sin. Pagans don't sin. Pagans don't believe in sin. If you do, talk to me. Tell me why. Because to sin is a Christian thing. It's not a pagan thing. So yes, I had fun with that one. Moving right along. Um, Complacency and arrogance. I had fun with that one. That was um, that was kind of a two-parter there. The word pagan, what it means, the new norm, the new normal. The new normal I kind of had fun with because there are things that change, and I remember what was going on that prompted me to want to do that broadcast. The new norm is we full well know that things change on a daily basis, that what used to be normal to us, the things that we used to do that was normal, are no longer normal. They're no longer the thing that we do on a daily basis. We have we have friends that move on. We make new friends. Old friends move on through whatever reason. New friends come in through whatever reason. Family leaves, family comes, family goes. People come, people go. Jobs come, jobs go. Jobs change. Oh boy, job roles change. Things that I did a year ago, I am no longer allowed to do today. Things that a year and a half ago I never would have thought about doing, I'm now required to do today. Yeah, well, nothing nice I can say about that particular tidbit. But anyway, as we were. So the new normal really is not ever a bad thing. It is a thing. It's just what it is. So the new normal was covered on July 15th. And the reason I'm giving the dates on some of these topics is some of you may want to go back and revisit some of those topics, those events that were going on. And here was another one that I really liked: negative, positive, optimistic, pessimistic. That one was done on August 19th. Negative, positive, optimistic, and pessimistic. The whole premise for that is so much of the time, so much of the time, people talk about negative is, negative does. Okay. So much of the time, I hear people talk about negative in, you have to put positive out. Okay. Other parts of the time, when I was covering negative, positive, optimistic, and pessimistic, a lot of people think that if you're having a really rough go of it and life is really dealing you a load of crap, then you're not being positive. You're not thinking positive. You're not putting out positive energy, right? So I've heard tell that, and I've even had people tell me, right? Well, the reason everything's going to hell in a handbasket is you're so negative. No, there are events that cause things to go to hell in a handbasket. Like I said a while ago, the new norm. The new norm was done back in July. But negative and positive is a balancing act. Now, I try to be positive minded about things that are going on. If I want to achieve something or I want to do something, I try to put forward a positive energy to be able to achieve and accomplish that feat. I am quite aware that negative things happen. But in the topic, and like I say, for those of you just joining, we're revisiting some of the topics of last year. But the topic of negative, positive, optimistic, pessimistic, I see myself as a optimistic realist. An optimistic realness. Now, realist. Now, this is a term that you may not always come across. I try to think positive about events while still being a realist. Okay? When I set out to do a job, when I set out to do a project, I try very hard to be optimistic about that project while being realistic about it and looking at the possible things that could happen. Like, I just really got into building our kitchen cabinet countertop. We put the sink in. I've got a guy coming out to plumb it, and then we're going to put the uh, stove top in. The oven's already in. I have to wire it. Good morning, guys. But optimistically, I know it's going to go well. Realistically, I know that I have to be careful of certain things. Make sure there's no leaks in the plumbing. Make sure there's no bare wires in the electrical. Because anybody that knows anything about anything knows that leaks in the plumbing and bare wires in electrical do not mix well. It can cause problems. So the topic I did August 19th of last year, negative, positive, optimistic, pessimistic, it talked about the difference, the variables between them. And I see myself as a optimistic realist. So moving on from that, it you have to find that balance. You have to find that channel within yourself. That was one of the topics of last year. That was really kind of cool. And some of the other topics we did, losing oneself, Sabbath preparation, revenge and paganism. This was a good one. September 9th last year, I did revenge and paganism. Now, I have to say, pagans are some very vengeful folk. Pagans were for the most part. Now here's kind of a paradox, right? Pagans, for the most part, we are what? We don't like to get physical with people. We don't like violence. Most all of the pagans I know, if you mess me up, I'm going to mess you up, and I clean that up real well because that's not normally what I say with that. But I try real hard to stay away from revenge because revenge sets you up to be hurt. Revenge sets you up to pay some pretty nasty karma, and if nothing else, through cause and effect. So, revenge in paganism was a good topic. I enjoyed that topic. It was fun to talk about. Some of our other topics we covered hand fasting. I absolutely love to do hand fastings. We talked about what they were, the history of them, where they came from. This one here, crowd anxieties, it was spawned because a buddy of mine wanted me to do healers at what cost. Now, crowd anxieties was done September 30th of last year. It was a really good topic. It had a good conversation in it, some good information about getting help with crowd anxieties. What can I do was good. Winding oneself up. You'll notice I had a series going here of social psychological issues that people may encounter all the way up through November. This one here has always been a thorn in my backside. Done November 11th. Follow blind faith. Following blind faith. Now let me tell you, following blind faith. These people that think that they follow blind faith drive me crazy because, like I said in that broadcast, some people, some people get so wrapped up in their blind faith that they don't think about what's going on right in front of them. They cannot see they just can't see the wall for the trees. So they end up running just as fast as they can through the trees because they think gods and goddesses are going to protect them from their stupid self, and they run smack head first into that wall. Faith is good to have. Blind faith is dangerous. We have to think. We have to be conscious. We have to have some common sense. Well, common sense about our faith. Common sense has not been very common for a very long time. Anyway, onward and upward. Let's see. Multicultural homes was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that one. Go back. And boundaries and respect, very important. Through the dark times. Through the dark times, I try to do one of those every year, mostly because we all know that between December 21st and December 25th is the shortest days of the year, and people have problems with the dark times. They have anger issues, all kinds of stuff. So, and then of course, the finishing out with 2018 with Hope, Wishes, and Dreams that was done on December 30th. And then, of course, December 23rd, we were closed for Yule. Well, I don't know what everybody else was doing, but I was working my ass off putting in a kitchen. So it's always good to remember, but not wallow in things of last year, things of yesteryear, as some would say. It's always good to embrace the things that we screwed up last year. And it's always good to say thank you for the gifts that we got for last year. In the month of January, in the month of January, I allow myself time to reflect upon the events of yesteryear, the year prior. I have done that as long as I can remember. I don't spend the month of January wallowing in pity of things that happened yesteryear that I cannot change. I don't spend the time in January going, I really should have changed this, I really should have said that, I really should have done this, I really should have done that. No. I spend a little bit of time going, I remember that event. That was kind of cool. I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Or, nah, I could have handled that a bit differently. So I'll make a mental note that if anything like that happens again, in remembering yesteryear, I remember that, you know, maybe I need to handle things a little differently. So in the review of some of the topics of last year, we had some really good topics, and I hope to continue the same in 2019. I will be sitting down over the next couple of days, hopefully filling up the calendar with topics for 2019. And I would really appreciate you guys if you would PM me. Don't put them here in the chat area, I may not see them. PM me with ideas of churches and what it is you're thinking of, what it is you want to do. Okay, like if you come up with a single word topic, well, you can't put a single word topic in a Facebook project. You just can't. So, in that, right? What else can we go on about? Well, my recommendation for reviewing old topics of last year is it's always good to review. It's even better to move on. So as we say adios to 2018 and the lessons that it took us on, and the events and the drama that we may have lived in 2018. There were some good times in 2018. There were some good things that happened, good events that took place. Remember that. So, with that, I'm going to bugger off. I'm going to give you the rest of your Sunday. And I'm going to remind you to keep an eye out for Live with the Shaman that comes around at 11 o'clock Central Time, right on Live with the Shaman Facebook page. If you don't know where that is, hashtag Live with the Shaman and you'll find it. Also, check out our archives on YouTube and Tumblr and any place else you may want to check. And if you have some places where you think archives would be good, let us know. Well, thank you for watching. Blessings to you on the new year of 2019. Let's make some let's make some good memories and let's keep some positive flow going. Give back to the mother for everything she gave to you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Open Pagan Church.